Hey everybody, Emma here, also known as 8vinyllow, bringing you all another video. We're going to be talking about my favorite opening tracks off of albums. And originally I sat down and I made this list and I was going through a bunch of different albums. I mean, there are so many incredible albums out there that have amazing opening songs and opening tracks. But as I was going through this list, I realized that about 50% of the albums and the songs that I was drawn towards and that I was writing down on my sheet were from debut albums. And so I thought, what better exercise, what better way to approach this than just saying, oh, just great opening songs off of any album, but limiting it to the debut. And of course, opening songs off of any album is extremely important because that is the first song that you hear off of the album. That's the first song that kind of sets the mood for the album and introduces you to that album, whether it's going to draw you in or kind of keep you a little bit unsure going in. But even better, debut albums. When you grab a debut album from a band, the first time you grabbed it, you put it on your turntable and you listen to it, that first song is the introduction that you get with that band. That is the first thing that you hear from that band. And so opening tracks in general, opening songs off of any album, extremely important. But off of the debut album, the first song, the first track that you ever hear from a band is even more important. So I thought that this would be a super fun exercise. Again, these are my favorite songs, so off of these albums. So your list will probably, most likely, look a little bit different from mine, and that's fine. If you want to do a response or if you want to write down in the comments below your choices, feel free to go ahead, but I've limited this to 10. I probably could have kept going. My list was around like 25, so maybe I'll do a part 2 later on, but for right now, my top 10 best and favorite, I guess favorite, right? My top 10 favorite opening tracks off of debut albums. All right, number 1, and these are in no particular order. I'm sure many of you are not surprised. We have Cheap Trick's debut album from 1977. If we're talking about debut albums, this is going to make an appearance. That's just the way that it rolls on this channel. So Cheap Trick's self-titled debut from 1977. Now, what's the opening track? What is so good? What opens up this album? What song introduces you to Cheap Trick? Well, here's a fun story for you, and this is perfectly fitting in a video talking about opening tracks off of debut albums. There's controversy about this in the Cheap Trick community. On the track listing on this album, Cheap Trick in Cheap Trick fashion has a side A and a side 1. Now, like I said, it is controversy. People have their preferred track list on what they want to start with. Do they want to start with side A and the song Hot Love, which has a killer Rick Nielsen guitar riff, or very, very fast-paced, very good song? Or do they want to start out with side 1, which kicks off with Hello Kitties, which has a phenomenal drum opening by Bunny E. Carlos? So I know that there's controversy with that. Here's the way I look at it. In 1998, they reissued this album, the band, and they put their preferred track listing on the album. It kicked off with Hello Kitties. That's the way I have always listened to this album. In my opinion, Hello Kitties consistently always kicks off Cheap Trick's self-titled debut from 1977. So now, whether it's Hello Kitties or Hot Love, this album is still going to be shown on this video. Both songs are phenomenal and do a great job introducing Cheap Trick to the world. Jack Douglas produced this. He captures Cheap Trick so well, that raw, energetic sound that they have. I really wish that they continued to do more work with Jack Douglas because I love the material that they've put out. And actually recently they just put out a cover of David Bowie's Rebel Rebel, which was produced by Jack Douglas. So anyway, enough on that. Hello Kitties, Cheap Trick 1977 self-titled debut, or to please those who like Hot Love 2. Doesn't matter. This next one is from 1968 from a band coming out of Philadelphia. Captures that rock, pop, psychedelic, garage sound of the 60s. Features a very young Todd Rundgren. We have, of course, Nas and I absolutely adore this album and the opening track, which is, of course, Open My Eyes. What a phenomenal song. They ended up doing a promo video, I think, for Open My Eyes, and you can go on YouTube and watch it. It's so fun to watch. I think there's a video of Todd Rundgren. I think in that video he's playing a Gibson Flying V, which Rick Nielsen also liked to use. Todd Rundgren is a huge influence on Rick Nielsen, and there's actually a connection with Nas with Cheap Trick, which I've shared before, and maybe I'll share again in a future video. I won't bore you here, but Open My Eyes by the Nas, an absolute killer track by this band, and then, of course, a phenomenal album opener. Now, of course, Open My Eyes, maybe you didn't listen to it off of this album, but it was immortalized by a very popular compilation, very, very popular, of course, Nuggets. So it is featured on side 4, track 5, Nas, Open My Eyes. So maybe, like I said, maybe you didn't hear it from this, but you definitely know it from this. So very good. Also from 1968, a band hailing from Birmingham, England, we have the Moves album Move, and the opening track off of this album is Yellow Rainbow, which of course is a fantastic song by this band. Of course, The Move, Roy Wood, later Jeff Lynne, of course, kind of serves as a precursor to ELO, Electric Light Orchestra, so very cool kind of backstory there. But Yellow Rainbow probably is the most psychedelic sounding song off this album. And this album in general has those elements of psych in it, but Yellow Rainbow definitely is a standout kind of psychedelic track off of this album with the reverb on the guitars and the drums. So very standout track and a fantastic album opener from a fantastic band. Next one is from 1967, and I'm sure the gears are already turning in your head. What debut album came out in 1967? You were probably thinking about this. I mean, come on. This is, of course, The Doors, and the opening track is Break On Through to the Other Side. It was released as a single by Elektra Records, and this song just highlights how wonderful Morrison's songwriting is. It has that like Brazilian bossa nova feel to it, and is definitely one of my favorite songs by The Doors. So you can't go wrong with something like that opening an album up in 67. It's different, it's fresh, the lyrics, the songwriting is phenomenal. You can't go wrong. Moving to 1976, we have an instantly recognizable song, one of the most defining songs of the genre, an absolute punk anthem. We're going to be talking about a lightning war, a German World War II war tactic and method here. And of course, we're going with the Ramones' debut album and this song, the opening track, Blitzkrieg Bop. I don't care who you are, I know that every time this song goes on, you're at least thinking about singing along, if not singing along to that song. Of course, the Ramones kind of playing off of the Bay City Rollers Saturday Night with the Hey Ho, Let's Go. Just, like I said, instantly recognizable and something that makes you want to sing along, pumps you up, makes you feel good. I know that Green Day, if you go to their concerts, that's kind of the pump-up song to get the crowd going. So, like I said, punk anthem, recognizable, and an absolute defining song of the punk genre. We're going to go back to 1967, so if you weren't guessing The Doors on the last one, maybe you were guessing this one, because this is going to be shown too. We have to throw in Velvet Underground and Nico, the song Sunday Morning. That song was released as a single a year before. The overall production of this song on this album is pristine. It's absolutely wonderful. Sunday Morning has this kind of like dream pop feel to it, which makes it completely stand out from every other song on this album. There's a guitar solo at the end of Sunday Morning that just gives me the chills. I mean, this whole song kind of makes me feel a little a little tingly, but that guitar solo at the end just gives me the chills. It's such a wonderfully it's so wonderfully put together. The lyrics are fantastic. Like I said, the production just makes it sound so clean and clear. Fantastic song by the Velvet Underground. Sunday Morning, so beautiful. 1967, if you didn't guess the Doors and you didn't guess the Velvet Underground and Nico, then please tell me that you guessed this album, which is also making an appearance on here. Jimi Hendrix Experience, Are You Experienced? This is the US version, which kicks off with the instantly recognizable psychedelic burst guitar riff of Jimi, Purple Haze. Every time I play this album and Purple Haze just kicks it off, immediately it's like a rush. I get the chills. I feel like I'm melting, like there's just straight heat coming from the turntable, just absolutely melting me down. Absolute fire. What else can I say about it? Even if you wanted to talk about the UK release with Foxy Lady, it's still going in on this list. It's Jimi. It's his first album. Some of the most notable tracks just of all time. You cannot go wrong with it. So, of course, this is in here. It's 1967. There's a lot of them. I just kind of realized that as I was making this video. So, a lot of heat coming out of that year. 1979. What an album and a song to welcome in the post-punk scene. Joy Division, Unknown Pleasures, with the song Disorder. This song gives me the chills, even with the lyrics being the way that they are. This song is 100% comforting to me in some way. This is a song that plays when I just need to absolutely disassociate from myself and everything around me. What a unbelievable opening track off of this album. Any list, debut albums, just opening tracks in general, this, in all fairness, has to be on there. This is what I would say is moving away from my favorites to it just is. It is one of the best opening tracks off of any album, hands down. Disorder is absolutely fantastic. The thick bass line in this album absolutely makes it. It makes the song. The way the bass and the guitar just play off of each other, and then the vocals and just the whole sound, it all just comes beautifully together. You can hear every instrument. Each instrument has such a purpose. Just an absolutely beautiful song. One of the best, moving away from favorites, one of the best opening tracks off of any album. I have to throw some Rory in here. From 1969, we have Taste. Taste's debut album, a band that only released 2 albums, Tasting on the Boards, makes you wonder what could have happened if they continued to do more. A trio, of course, kind of inspired by Cream. Rory Gallagher, hands down one of the best guitarists of all time and an extremely underrated vocalist. But the opening track off of this album is a very notable just Rory Gallagher tune in general. If you get a Rory Gallagher's greatest hits, this is going to be on there, and it's called Blister on the Moon. So just a phenomenal opening track. I also absolutely adore, off of their second album on the Boards, the opening track, which is called What's Going On. Another killer opening, but I thought it would only be right to use Blister on the Moon since it is one of Rory's, hands down, one of his most notable tracks. So we're going with Taste's debut, 1969, opening track, Blister on the Moon. All right, last one is from 1978, one of the best debut albums of all time. We have The Cars, which of course includes the trifecta, as people call it, opening up with Good Times Roll, moving into My Best Friend's Girl, and then of course coming in at number 3, Just What I Needed. Just those 3 songs alone, phenomenal. Then the rest of the album's good, but you kick off with Good Times Roll, which is one of the best opening tracks in my opinion, and then you go into My Best Friend's Girl, and then you hit Just What I Need. Just absolutely perfect. That's why people call it a trifecta on this album. So I had to throw this in there. Like I said, hands down one of the best debuts of all time. And then when you kick off this album with those 3 songs back to back to back, what a killer opening. What an amazing introduction to the Cars. So those are some of my favorite opening tracks off of debut albums. Now, I could have kept going. I probably have 10 more I could do, 15 more I can do, so maybe I'll do a part 2 if people are interested. I also just have my favorite opening tracks just in general off of any album that I'd be interested in maybe sitting down and making a video on, so just let me know about that. But I hope that you enjoyed this. Like I said, this was a fun little exercise for me. Just unbelievable albums, and as I was going through and filming, I realized that a lot of these albums were from 1967, so a fantastic year for these debut albums for this music. Just awesome. So, and I'm wearing my Led Zeppelin shirt. I figured there'd probably be a comment if I didn't mention it. Led Zeppelin 1, their debut album, Good Times, Bad Times, would have been on this list. I do not own that on vinyl. I'm just throwing it out. I know, terrible, but I don't own that. That's just an album that I figure I can go grab, remastered 180-gram copy for anytime. So at some point I will, but Good Times, Bad Times by Led Zeppelin, that debut album, another just fantastic opening track off a debut album, just absolutely highlights John Bonham's playing, that bass drum with those triplets. So anyway, that's all for this video. Let me know down below what you think. Let me know some of your thoughts about your favorite opening tracks off of debut albums. Maybe you shared some, maybe you have some new ones. So go ahead and let me know. But with that, stay safe, be well, and I will see you all for my next video. Bye, guys.